My mission statement is simply to be an image bearer of Christ. Now, what does this imply? I've broken it down into 3 different points. The first one is to realize that I cannot do anything without Christ and surrender all aspects of my life daily to Him. The second one is to rest in God's grace always and extend the overflow of what has been done for me to others. And the third one is to reflect Christ's character through my works and actions, leading others through service to God's overwhelming love. If I had to sum up who I want to be in a single phrase, it would be an image bearer. I once watched a video on how seeing other people as creatures with souls that Christ died for radically changes our perspective on the way we live. Since then, I've constantly asked myself, what does it mean to truly bear the image of Christ? These are the 3 things to do that I believe will help me live as one, reflecting God's goodness. So obviously, my life philosophy is strongly rooted in Christ. I grew up in a Christian family, but I've had to make my faith my own. It is easy for me to be a good Christian girl on the outside, but in reality, the first step starts internally. Like with any other problem, the first step is to admit. In order for me to bear the image of Christ, I need to rely on Christ daily. I can't simply turn to Him when things get tough or something doesn't go the way I want. In the good times and the bad times, I have to realize that Christ is the only one that gets me through any and every situation. If I try to do it on my own, there would be disastrous failure, and that's for certain. God deserves every aspect of my life and nothing less. That is what I want to be able to do, to surrender completely to Him. So the second step moves on to affecting my attitude. Once I've changed on the inside, it should start to have a change on the outside. So once I've surrendered it all to God, I'm completely covered by His grace. I just have to stay in it. It's a choice. In the past, I've focused way too much on my performance, whether it's grades or relationships or trying to be what people want me to be. I've always tried to measure up to an impossible standard that I fooled myself into thinking was necessary for me to meet. It wasn't something my parents said or my school said or my friends said. It was something I placed upon myself, and it ended up hurting me a lot. But from this perfectionistic history, I've learned that God's grace is unlimited. It's always available. It's just up to me to accept it and believe that despite my failures, God is full of grace and will use me anyway. Because Christ would die for me, a worthless sinner, I want to extend the same grace to others. Though I'm certain I will fail and never be able to give as much grace as I've been given, this is who I aim to be. So the last step affects my actions. Just as James said, faith without works is dead. I have to live out what I believe in. So I change from the inside, and that affects my attitude. Then action needs to happen. A mission statement means you're on a mission, so it means you have to be doing something. With the previous step benefiting my life, I want to act as a mirror for Christ, reflecting His character. So Christ was the ultimate servant, and therefore I am commanded to follow in His footsteps. Our textbook states that servant leadership emphasizes that leaders be attentive to the concerns of their followers, empathize with them, and nurture them. Servant leaders put followers first, empower them, and help them develop their full personal capacities. Furthermore, servant leaders are ethical and lead in ways that serve the greater good of the organization, community, and society at large. This is exactly what Jesus did in His time here on earth. Mark 10, verse 43 to 45, which we discussed in class, says, "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give His life as a ransom for many." This is one of my favorite passages from the Bible because it calls me to leadership in a way that most people would think, like, that doesn't make sense, that's a paradox. But Christ embodied it and it worked perfectly. The question is, though, which characteristics of a servant leader am I lacking? The book gives 10 different characteristics each servant leader should have and what that looks like. But I am still discovering what I need to work on. College is a perfect time for me to struggle with questions I have about my personal life philosophy and what I need to improve in. But the bottom line is that God has given us the message of His perfect and full love, which commands us to be selfless servants. And that is the ultimate thing I want my life to stand for. Of course, these are goals, and Of course, it's going to take a long time, and I'm not just going to be able to reach it just because I think it. But through anything and everything I do, whether it's in classes or in work or building relationships or going to church, no matter what it is, my mission is to be an image bearer